right, we are recording finally. All right, so what I really want to talk about tonight is detox and the way that our bodies handle the detox process and what it is and what that Candida is for everybody, because that is such an important part of this process and why these products are still so completely set apart from anything else. Anyone can tell you that they are taking probiotics or a multivitamin, and we can pretty much guarantee 100% of the time that Plexus is better because of the ingredients and because of the science behind these products and what they are designed to do. So we all know, I think pretty much everybody on here, but for people that are watching this back, it's really important to know that we all have this bad bacteria. Everyone, from the time that you are born, you have bad bacteria inside of your system. That bad bacteria is meant to decompose your body after you pass. I know that that's really morbid and not something that we like to think about, but the way that this is designed to work, if our body is in a state of homeostasis, we're supposed to have 80% good bacteria, 20% bad bacteria. Some numbers will tell you 85 and 15, but basically in those numbers. What happens every single time we are stressed, anytime you have sugar, if you breathe polluted air, if you take an antibiotic, it destroys your gut bacteria for a year. It takes over a year, they have tested, to be able to start to restore that good bacteria. Anything with toxins that go on our bodies. So the average woman is in contact with 520 different toxins every single day. That number is staggering to me. But that shows when some people say, well, I feel better now, so I don't really need Plexus anymore. Yes, you do. Because those food toxins, you know, the pesticides and chemicals and stuff that are on foods, the shampoos, our makeups, clothing, all of those things have toxins, the pollutants in our air. So we want to make sure that we have these products every single day to go in and get rid of those toxins. So when your body is in a state of homeostasis and that good bacteria is more readily present, is at that 80 or 85%, that means that our bodies are healthy. So 80% of our immune system, 95% of our neurotransmitters, 20 to 30 different hormones, people that have thyroid issues, your T3, your T4 are produced inside of your gut. So all of these things, your gut is your second brain. In utero, it develops at the same time with the same the synapses. And so our gut is controlling so much of our body. But in our culture and our society, we have learned to treat everything as complete separate entities. So if we have a headache, we go and we get some aspirin. If we have a stomach ache, we go and get some Pepto-Bismol. If we, I could go on and on with that list. There are headaches every single time you go into the grocery store. The problem becomes once you are stressed, once you have that sugar, all of those things that I named off, that depletes your good bacteria, but it causes your bad bacteria to grow. That bad bacteria is a yeast. It's just like if you're making bread. If you add too much sugar to that bread, it's going to rise and it's going to go out of control. That same thing happens on the inside of our intestines. Really disgustingly gross to think about, but that yeast covers the inside of our intestines. There are pictures that you can look up, and it literally makes a coating over top. So, oops, sorry. Okay. So that just causes tons and tons of issues, constipation issues, or the other way. So that bad bacteria that's covering the inside of your intestines, it's literally making it so your intestines can't do the job that it's supposed to do. I don't know who that was. Okay. Sorry, now I'm off track. So your intestines are supposed to be doing that job, right? They're supposed to be pulling out the minerals and nutrients, breaking down everything further. But when that bad bacteria coats the inside of your intestines, it no longer can do that. It's not doing its job. So you have to do something to get rid of it. A lot of people think that you can just put the good probiotics back in and then you're good to go. But that's not the case at all. This bad bacteria, this yeast, has a chitin layer over top of it, and you need to do something to perforate through that bad bacteria, that layer that's really hard. It's like a cockroach shell. So Probio5 has something that's called chitosanase. That goes in and it specifically targets that bad bacteria and it helps to break it down. Here's where the detox issue comes into place. When it breaks that down, it turns into 79 different kinds of gases and toxins. And as it does that, it goes into your body. Now, a lot of people, I've had people say, well, what's the point of that? I don't really want to break down that bad bacteria then and have those toxins in me and feel worse. Those toxins, you're literally living off of them. Your intestines are pulling out the toxins from that chitin layer, from that bad bacteria all of the time. So it is super, super important to rid that from our system. As that bad bacteria breaks down, there's a couple different things that we need to do. Those toxins will only get out if we push them out. Water is a huge, huge, huge part of that. The BioCleanse is another really huge part of that. If you think about it being a garbage truck, right? It goes through behind it. Some people during the detox process find that they feel like they're gaining weight. It's not weight as in fat weight. You know, you're not really storing extra glucose that's turning from your into your blood sugar and turning into fat and being stored in your cells. What happens when that bad bacteria breaks down and that toxin, those gases break down, it can get into your soft tissue layers. When it gets into your soft tissue layers, it becomes inflammation, and then it can mimic weight gain and bloat. So it's really important if people say that they're gaining weight and it looks like they're gaining weight on the scale, that it's not necessarily weight gain on the scale. It's that soft tissue layer that's inflaming. So what we need to do is make sure that we're helping people through that. If somebody says that they're having way too much bloat and they feel like they're 4 or 5 months pregnant, we need to decrease their probiotic. We need to make sure that they are going through that detox process less. Some people can't start with one every single night before they go to bed. And the worse the detox process is, the more that they actually need plexus. And that's what breaks my heart, because so many people, it's like that picture. Have you guys ever seen that where the coal miner is like digging through the rocks and and there's like a foot left and he starts turning around to go back, and right on the opposite side of that rock is all of the diamond that he's dug that entire tunnel to get to? It reminds me of that every single time somebody tells me that they're going to give up, because right on the opposite side of that detox is what they're waiting for, but we have to get them there. So if somebody says that they're extremely, extremely bloated, back off their ProBio. If somebody says that they're extremely constipated, what that means is you're breaking down all of that bad bacteria and you're adding to what's already in there. Have them either decrease their ProBio or stop it completely until they are regular again. Have them increase their BioCleanse. They can increase their BioCleanse before a meal to help with that, or they can increase it right before they go to bed. As soon as they are regular again for a couple of days, then have them add back in the ProBio5. The other thing about this is that if they add back in the ProBio5 with a meal, it will help more. The ProBio5, if you take it with a meal, has digestive enzymes in it. So if you take it with a meal, it's going to help you to break down that food into smaller particles. If you take ProBio5 by itself on an empty stomach, then it's going to act more as something that's going to go in and it's going to attack that chitin layer. So if somebody is having really bad detox issues, instead of having them take that ProBio by itself at night before bed, have them take it with a meal. Same thing on the opposite end. If somebody is having really, really loose stools, instead of having them take their BioCleanse by itself at night before they go to bed, have them take it with a meal, because that will help a little bit more too. And they can decrease their BioCleanse if they're having a lot of issues with that. Everybody's body is different. Some people, when they are detoxing, those gases mix with what's already in there and it makes their stools runnier. Some people, it's the complete opposite. But that's why it's super important to work with every single person. The hard part about Plexus is not getting people to start the journey. And I know that some people think I'm crazy when I say that. But the hard part about Plexus is getting people to stay on the journey. Sabrina had an amazing follow-up post on her team page, but that's key. We cannot have somebody start this journey and then wait 2 weeks to see how they're doing. And here's why, for a couple of reasons. But if you have ever looked on the bottle of ProBio or on the bottle of BioCleanse, the directions that are on there are not what we want people to start with. Because right away it says that you want to take 2 BioCleanse before each meal and that you can take 2 to 4 ProBios. Guys, if we had somebody start with 4 ProBio, like, they would be a bloated, gassy mess, and no wonder they would not want to try the products again, because a lot of people don't understand what that ProBio is doing. Make sure when you start somebody on this journey, before they even get their products, that they know how to start the products. Super, super important. If that looks like an email to you, perfect. If that looks like a voice message to you, perfect. Whatever it is for you, but get a confirmation back from them that they know how to start them. We know right now with shipping times, it's super fast. You can order on a Monday, you can have it on a Wednesday. That means that your follow-up right after they order needs to be super, super quick. And then once they get the products, make sure, I know that it sounds like overkill, but make sure you're checking in with them every day or at least every other day, because that first week is so super important. If you have somebody that feels like crap the first 3 days and they have no idea why and they're not adjusting it, they're going to quit and probably not going to tell you about it, because some people feel like you're disappointing them or that they're disappointing you. And some people just don't think that it's worth it, right? Like, why did I start these products? I thought I was going to wake up in the morning and I was going to be able to run a marathon, and instead I look like I'm 4 months pregnant. That's not what they signed up for. So make sure that you're open and honest with them about this. With every single conversation when somebody orders, I talk about the detox process. I didn't always do that at the beginning because I was scared of it. And I was just hoping that people didn't experience it. But more people than not experience detox because it happens, because so many people are in bad states. And don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. When you follow up with somebody, don't just say, hey, how are the products going? Because like Chelsea will tell you, she always told me that they were going good. They were sitting on her counter and they were looking real pretty, but she wasn't taking them because she wasn't being consistent with it. But I didn't ask her the hard questions until I got a little bit bolder and could tell that she wasn't ordering. So make sure that you're asking those things right up front, because that's really, really important in getting people to stay on this journey and them understand that detox process. You know, some people will get headaches. Have them push their water. If they are having headaches with the Slim is balancing hormones. Hormones are largely related to headaches. If you have somebody that's going through that, make sure and work with them about it. Some people might only need to take half of a Slim. Some people might need to take half of a Slim by itself with no ProBio and no cleanse for a couple of days. Some people might need to take the Slim with a meal. Those things are really, really important. I mean, Morgan, I'm looking at her because she's right below me. We went through it a lot at the beginning, and I know she was ready to give up on me because it took a long time. Morgan, how long was it for us to figure out Slim for you?
Oh, it was probably a good 3 months for the Slim, and I was very inconsistent with the Slim. I did my ProBio and my cleanse a lot more, but I backed off the Slim completely because it was awful for me. But we got it so that I took it for bed, and until my hormones balanced out, that was the only time I could take it.
Yeah. And thank God she stuck with me. I think probably because she had to see me every day when we were dropping kids off. But Make sure that you're really open and honest with about people about these, because I know that Morgan would tell anybody that she's glad that she went through it now. But I had her tell me several times that she didn't want anything to do with the slim anymore because it made her feel worse before it made her feel better. So you have to be open and honest with those people about that stuff. And know that if there's something that you can't figure out, to message people. Like until probably 6 months ago, I had no idea until I watched a video about the soft tissue and that those toxins can get trapped in your soft tissue and mimic weight gain. I didn't know that. You do not need to know every single thing that there is to know about detox. There are still some things when you guys message me, I ask other people. You don't have to know everything, but what you do have to be is open and honest with people about it. Does anybody else have any questions that you guys get commonly with detox?
I don't have a common one, Bree, but I just had somebody who quit the triplex because he went to his doctors and his thyroid levels went nuts. So he
Okay.
quit.
Went up or went down?
He just said that they went crazy and him and his doctor are trying to get them leveled out again.
Yeah. So that's a really good question, Penny. And I think that I actually went through that too. Because as your body is trying to do what it's supposed to do naturally, it throws it for a little while. And some people find the same thing with your hormones balancing back out. I've had people with levels with their blood sugar levels. That's another one that's really common. Some people, especially diabetics, you will notice that some of them will tell you that their sugar actually increased before it will decrease. And the reason for that, and I'm sure the same with the thyroid, is that as you're breaking down that bad bacteria, you're putting all of those toxins and those sugars back into your bloodstream before you can flush them out, which is not something that you think about a lot. But if somebody has extreme issues with that and their numbers are fluctuating a lot, they might need to take it slower. And it doesn't seem like that would be an issue with detox, but it very much is. Because all of those sugars and those toxins that are all trapped inside of that bacteria all dissipate once we start to break it down. And it has to go someplace. So I've had a couple of people that have told me that when they start testing, their blood sugar actually goes up. And we have to make sure you can pretty much with 90% of the people that detox hard, it's because, and I went through this too, I had cluster headaches in the back of my head. But I know without a doubt, and even when I'm detoxing now, my skin breaks out. But I can guarantee you every single time it's because I'm not pushing my water. So make sure that people are really, really honest with you about how much water they're taking and ask them the hard questions, because my mom is one of them. She hates drinking water. And when she tells me that she's having a bad day, I'll say, well, how much water did you take? Well, more than usual. Okay, mom, what's more than usual? Well, I had a glass. Okay, like a little glass is not enough for you. You need to drink your water. My mom's a smart person, but she hates drinking water. And to her, a glass is a lot because she never drank any water. So you have to make sure that people are really doing it, and you have to be hard with them about it sometimes. And I find personally that the people that I know are the hardest ones to coach through it. It's super, I don't want to say simple ever because it's not simple, but it's easier for me to coach somebody that I don't know that's just found me on Facebook, or like when you guys put me in three-way chats and I don't know those people, it's much easier for me to coach them than it is for me to coach somebody that I'm really close to, because I don't want to offend anybody. But if they are trusting you on this journey, be their coach and make sure that you're helping them through it, because you started with them. You know, I've told you guys 1,000 times, but when I'm at an event, Chelsea and I were doing one in Corning a year ago, and a lady came up to us and she was like, oh, I've got Plexus at my house, but I didn't know how to take it, so I've never taken it. And I was floored. Like, you have this gold mine sitting in your cupboard, but nobody's ever helped you take it. So be that coach for people. That's why they started this. That was a really good question, Penny. I'm glad you brought that up. Anybody else? Okay. I am going to stop recording so that we can pass this on to other people.